Am I the whole for leaving my daughter and newborn granddaughter behind to start a new life overseas? I, 55M, have a daughter. She's 29 now, and she recently became a mother. She's happily married, settled, and just had her first child, making me a grandfather. And yet here I am, finalizing plans to retire and move overseas with my new wife, away from everything I've known, including her. She's hurt. I can tell. And a part of me does feel guilty. But another part of me, the one that's been quiet and aching for nearly 2 decades, is finally breathing again. And it's telling me, it's okay to choose your own happiness. Let me explain. About 15 years ago, my marriage to my ex-wife ended. It wasn't sudden. We tried counseling, therapy, even separation, but in the end, she was done. I, on the other hand, wasn't. I loved her deeply and truly believed we could fix what was broken. When she remarried less than a year later to a wealthy, handsome man, it felt like someone had hit pause on my life, while hers was playing on fast forward. That part still stings. I won't lie.
My daughter was a teenager back then.
She was naturally drawn to her new stepfather. He was generous, affectionate, and gave her the kind of material experiences I couldn't compete with: lavish vacations, cruises, fancy gifts. I never resented him for it. I was grateful, honestly, that she felt loved and secure. But watching her form such a strong bond with him while I struggled to keep myself together, it broke me. I stayed single for years. Not because I wanted to be alone, but because I couldn't imagine opening myself up again. I poured everything into being a dad. I never missed a dance recital, a birthday, or a graduation. I made sure she never felt like a piece of her family was missing, even when I felt that way every day. And when she got married 4 years ago, she asked both me and her stepfather to walk her down the aisle. She also asked us to share the father-daughter dance. I said yes, of course. She's my daughter. I love her. But when that moment came, when I stood next to the man who essentially replaced me in so many ways, it cut deep. It was one of the hardest smiles I've ever forced in my life. Still, I thought, this is what love looks like. You show up, even when it hurts. After her wedding, I started thinking maybe it was time to stop hurting. She was settled now. She had a partner, a home, a new life. Maybe I could finally find something for myself, too. And then I met my now wife. She's kind, brilliant, warm, and like me, has a complicated past when it comes to family. We bonded over that mutual history of loss and estrangement. For both of us, the idea of starting fresh somewhere new wasn't just appealing, it felt necessary. Last year, we eloped in Portugal. No guests, no drama, just the two of us, standing in front of the Atlantic Ocean, promising that this time, love would mean peace, not pain. When I told my daughter afterward, she was a little hurt she hadn't been there, but she seemed to understand. At least I thought she did. Now, after months of planning, we've made the decision to retire in Portugal permanently. Financially, we're secure. My wife inherited a beautiful home from her grandfather there. We've already visited several times and fallen in love with the country, the pace of life, the food, the people, the space to just breathe. We sold both our homes back here to prepare. When my daughter found out I sold mine, her childhood home, she was visibly shaken. I get it. That house meant a lot to her. It meant a lot to me, too. It was the one place I felt like I had built a life worth remembering after the divorce. But it also carried ghosts I no longer wanted to live with. Then last month, she and her husband came over with their baby, my granddaughter. It was a beautiful visit. Her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and for a moment, I questioned everything. How could I leave this little person I barely knew yet already loved? But during that same visit, I told my daughter about our Portugal plans. That we'd be moving next year, permanently. Her face changed immediately. She was shocked, hurt, angry. She asked how I could move so far now that she'd had a baby. What about being a grandfather? Didn't I want to be a part of her life? Of course I do. But I also want a life of my own. I tried to explain gently. I told her she's always welcome to visit us. Portugal isn't the moon, it's a flight away. I reminded her she already has another father figure here, her stepdad, who adores her and lives nearby. I wasn't trying to dismiss her feelings, just explain that this wasn't a decision made against her. It was a decision for us. Since then, she's been distant. Calls have slowed. Texts are shorter. There's a coldness in her voice that wasn't there before. I understand why she feels abandoned. I do. But here's the thing, I spent years putting my life on pause. I sacrificed a lot so she could grow up loved and stable. I swallowed hurt after hurt to make her life easier. And now, for the first time in decades, I have a chance to live in peace on my terms with someone who makes me feel whole again. I'm not running from her. I'm running towards something I never thought I'd find: healing. So, am I the whole? Am I the whole for choosing myself after all these years, even if it means leaving behind the life and the people I once put first?